Hey, it's Nikki. Before we start the show, I wanted to invite you to download a free resource that I put together for you as the listener. This is my gift to you. You can get it right now. It is the 17 buying signals. Now, I wrote a whole book about buying signals, and I wanted to put it into a really simple format that you can have at your fingertips or in front of you whenever you want to. So I took out the 17 buying signals from the book, put them on a simple PDF, also gave you the kind of what to do when you get a buying signal, and explain what a buying signal is. So that PDF is available for you as a listener to go and download right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/17. That's yoursalesmaven.com/17 so that you can start acting on these buying signals and closing more business. All right, when you're ready, let's start the show.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. Today's episode is part of the Mastering Excellence series. This is a concept that comes from my background in neurolinguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you understand the structure of how somebody is achieving exceptional results in their life or business on a particular topic, you can then apply that same structure to your own life and business and start to see your own successful results. Today's guest, oh my gosh, I'm super excited to welcome to the show, Karen Hite. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Karen, because I suspect that many of my listeners probably haven't met her, but oh my gosh, you're going to be you're in for such a treat. So here's her bio. Karen Hite is the co-owner of Hite Digital and the operations director at Master Hackers. Her commitment is to help established business owners find clarity so they can focus on revenue-generating activities and their pursuit of a fulfilled, balanced life. She and her husband started their digital marketing agency, which was one of the first, if not the only, franchise model digital marketing agency with over 19 franchise locations in the US and over 170 employees. Their mission is to generate 1,000 jobs in Nicaragua through their agency, their inner circle, and their various businesses. She is a superstar, you guys. Karen, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I know we're gonna talk about this in a little bit, but it was just such a good experience of like how we got to connect and just to be today and able to share a little bit of my story with everybody. I hope that somebody gets motivated and just, that it does something for anybody that's listening. But I'm so grateful for you to offer this platform and just for me to share this.
I'm so excited for you to share what we're going to talk about. The topic that we're going to talk about today is how to focus and how to use your business to be a source of change in your community. Because Karen has done this in a way that I've never experienced or seen before. And before I ask you to go into too much about you and your background, actually, let's do you and your background because it's way more interesting. And then I'll talk about how we got connected. But tell us a little bit about you and who you are and your background.
Yeah, of course. So I'm from Nicaragua. I actually went to Hite when I was in college, and that's sort of how things started for me in terms of getting familiar with the culture and just like pushing myself. I was born and raised in Nicaragua. So me going to the States for the first time when I was in college was such a different experience. You go as a kid, just get used to it. It was like definitely a very different experience to go and live by myself in a new country with a new culture. And it was just like very, very challenging in some ways, but also very helpful for me to mature and to just learn of what the differences in the world is, like in terms of, I knew my culture, I knew what was a normal day for me. And then I got to see what a normal day today was to people in the US, obviously for what I saw in back then in Arkansas. And so that was just a great experience. And then going back after college, my country, and then starting a business later on, a few years after, I it was just like, this has been just a wonderful experience to merge these cultures and what I've loved the most out of each one. And I get to do this every day because I get to talk to agency owners in the US, and my husband is from the US, and we serve you as clients. And it's just, it's a very interesting thing, just cultures in general.
And you guys have built this really interesting business from, like, because you even said in your bio, like, this might be the only digital marketing agency that has this franchise component. It's really interesting. And I am kind of new, like, I wouldn't say we're newer friends, because you asked me to speak at your conference. I spoke at your conference a couple, by the time this airs, it'll be a couple months ago, but to get to meet the franchisees at this conference. And I will say they were kind of joking because they're like, we're almost like a cult because you guys love each other so much. You guys are so filled with love and appreciation. You and JC, your husband, for your franchisees, but your franchisees towards you guys, they love you guys so much.
I am so grateful because I feel like I still feel like we don't deserve it. Like, I feel like there's just, we're always like wanting to do more and more. And not that we don't deserve it. It's just like, I'm so grateful to be able to make these connections and to be able to go about the mission that we have and the goal that we have, and to be able to make an impact in the country that we're in. For people to trust that, I don't know how much your audience might know about franchise models, but it's not as easy, and for us, it has been a major thing of, somebody leaving their brand and just trusting us with ours and just taking it on as theirs. And, they're like putting on the shirt. And to me, that's so valuable. And I never give this for granted. And the fact that like are so vocal about this and so sweet to us and to our community as well. This is just what it's all about. Just having the right people next to you are going to allow you to grow and connect and, reach this massive you have. Like, that's everything, right? Like that's why that's what makes things interesting in business, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, let's talk a little bit about, before we dive into the topic that we're going to really dive in today, but let's talk a little bit about how we got connected. Because I want to first give a huge shout out to Mike Peterson, who is a part of my group coaching program. He's in the Sales Maven Society, because we would have never met had Mike not tossed my name in the hat. I think when you were talking to your people in Master Hackers, which, say what Master Hackers is. Would you like comment on that?
Of course. So it's kind of like a long answer, but we're all about community, anything we do. Like, I feel like we understood from a pretty early stage in our business that we cannot do things alone, and we don't want to do things alone. And there's just so much benefits in connecting and having a community where you can learn from each other. And so we just decided, years ago to start this. We saw how in the digital marketing space, which is where we're at, there was a lot of like what we call flexing and just a lot of like, this is what I need to be at. Okay, like this is the house, and this is what success means. Mm-hmm. And for us, just not something that we really connect or buy with. I mean, obviously, all of this material success, it's a means to the end, right? So like I'm super excited when I see people succeeding, but when that's all you talk about, I think that gives people the wrong image of what succeeding means really. So when we started, Masters, we had a clear goal in mind, was just to connect with people and to learn. For us, we're constantly trying to like figure out how can we learn as much as possible, so that way as little mistake as possible, right? Like, we're not perfect and we're definitely not smartest. And so how can we make sure that we surround ourselves with the right people so we can all continue to learn? that's what we do with Master Hackers. It's focused on digital agency owners that are at a certain revenue. So it's not people that are starting. It's more about people that are like already in a position where they're wanting to scale their business. So we can serve each other better. And that's where we're at. We're constantly to improve our business. And Mike, funny enough, like that, we do a mastermind, the next thing that we do is like, who do you want to hear from? Like in the sales mastermind, like, who would you be excited about? And he said your name. And so I went to look for you and I found you and I was like, hey, Nikki, can we I think I sent you over your website, which is kind of fun too, because we do that, for other people. And I'm like, I'm a leader right now. Like I'm connecting with her over your inbox there and like connect with me. And so I was just super excited. And then we got to talk to each other. I was Nikki, you're so ideal for this. Like you need to come to the mastermind because I would love to hear from you. And that's how everything started.
Well, I have to say I was super honored, one, that he threw my hat in the ring. And then two, that when we got on the call, because I know you were talking to quite a few speakers, that you chose me to be one of the speakers for your mastermind, and getting to spend those days with you guys, with the Master Hacker people and the Hite Digital franchisees in Dallas was such an awesome experience, because I will say, like, I wanted to drink the Kool-Aid. I was totally in there's just a lot of love in the room, and it was really cool people. Everybody's so supportive. You brought in some phenomenal speakers, and I just was so honored to be a part of it. So thank you for giving me that opportunity and getting to know you guys.
I'm so thankful for you coming and sharing. So like every time after a mastermind, we do a survey, like we talk to each other and we get what do you enjoy the most? Who was your like top of mind speaker? Like who do you connect? And I'm not kidding when I say like so many people have highlighted your presentation, and specifically something that I remember because we have a session after we share, the feedback. And specifically, I love that people were so particularly excited about how you just laid everything out, the structure, how to have the sales call and how to make this an easy process and what you should say and things like to keep in mind and make them feel comfortable with being who they truly are, in that sales call and make it a relationship. And I'm just so excited. I'm really grateful that you to spend the time and that you decided to jump on the ice too. So crazy.
Yes. If anybody saw the pictures on social media of me in the ice bucket, I was so like, that's so cool for you guys that you're going to do that. And I'm just going to like show up later. And I will say, I now understand that that peer pressure definitely works for me, because you were like, I was like, I don't have anything to wear. And you're like, girl, you can go to Target and get something.
I'm like, that's not even an excuse, Nikki.
She was not taking no for an answer. And I ended up in the ice bucket. And I will say, it's one of the best things I have done, like for my mental, physical, like spiritual. It was such a good experience for me. And I'm just so grateful that you and I'm trying to think of, there was a few of you, Tati, that you guys were like, you're doing it. You're doing it. I was like, I don't think I'm doing it. And then I did it. And I was so glad. And it was so fun.
That was one of my favorite parts when we got together after like sessions and like we were just chatting and just connecting there. It was so much fun. And like we were all like just pressuring you and getting this and doing that. And it was just, I was so happy to see you there and for you to really get to experience that. It's just, it's part of, like when we go into the ice, just so people know, for us, it's one of our main trainings that when anybody comes into Hite as an employee, franchisee, whatever, you have to go through this ICE training that Jose Bolaños gives. And us is so important because it allows us to understand that we're all living in different scenarios in our lives where the ICE is a different thing for everybody, but we're all living in it, right? Every once in a while, something happens. One of you is like quits, your family goes through like some stuff and that is the ice, right? So like, how do we respond to that? The only way we can get through it in a quick way or to be able to understand that what we're going through and to overcome it, to have a purpose and a mindset of overcoming this an infinite purpose right at the end. Mm-hmm. And that's what we focus on. So the time that somebody comes into Hite, so why we do this is because now we have a language. Now, when I say I'm in the ice today, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it feels like, and you know the only thing that can get me through this is my commitment. And so we share our commitments with everybody when they join Hite. And that's just one of the coolest things that we did, I think, at Hite to really be able to bond as a company and as a team.
Well, you definitely have a strong team, and you're right. The whole thing about the ice is that I love that language. Like, I'm in the ice today. And I can now, having done it, I can totally relate to, like, I know what that means to be sitting in that ice and knowing that it is, it is something you're going to have to just push through to get to the other side, to get to your 2 minutes, your 3 minutes, your 5 minutes, or whatever it is, to get to that other side. So I love that so much. So thank you for all the encouragement and providing that really cool experience at your mastermind. I thought that was so unique. One of the most unique things I've ever seen at any of the places I've ever gone and spoke and been a part of. It was just such a unique experience, and one I'll never forget.
Oh, I really do hope that we get to see each other, because I think this is definitely not the last time we need to like share and just like connect and just be together. So I'm really looking forward to another opportunity.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's dive into our topic, because I got to learn a little bit more about Hite, and I got to learn some of these things from your franchisees in the conversations. And I know you and I had just a really short conversation about this at one point in the conference, of me just being so curious about what you and JC have done from this place of, using your business to be a source of change in the community. So before I actually go into the questions, are you comfortable sharing a little bit about what happens for your employees in Nicaragua? Some of the things that, because somebody's an employee of the Hite digital agency, what are the things that happen for them and for their families, which to me is that source of change in your community?
Yeah, I am so sure some of that, because I think for me, even as a Nicaraguan, what we're doing today is, it's kind of like weird to think about it this way, but I feel like anything we do today is, I just want to look back and think of the things that we accomplished, I don't know, in 8 years, 10 years, and to be able to look back and say, wow, that was amazing, or we definitely push ourselves, or, this definitely made a difference for somebody. And a lot of the time, I think we're going to be able to understand the end of what we're doing today. But I can tell you, we go to sleep every night knowing that we did the best for the people that are entrusting us with, their time, their life, their family. We have even families that are working here, spouses that are working here. So it's kind of interesting, and we're all about it. Nicaragua, if people know, it's not a very stable country overall, right? We have our to work with it. Not to get too much into detail, but I've been in many countries, go through different aspects of life where political, the demographics, the world in general it's overall, unstable. So it's VUCA, right? We had the pandemic and things like that happen. But for us at Hite, what's important today is, how can we create this balance of happiness? How can we help, create some stability to the people that come here? And we do it in different ways. And some of the we do are kind of crazy, and some of the things are that's cool. So, hopefully this will be interesting to people. But I don't know if you want me to go into some of the stuff that we do for our team.
I would love for you to share some of the stuff you do for the team, and then I think I understand that you also do stuff for the family members of your employees. Is that true?
Yeah. So, as parents, the one thing that I think gets to us a lot when we're working, because I used to work for people before, is is our families, right? We're like, when we're talking about why we're doing what we're doing today, and JC gives this analogy, which I love to give, is if you tell me today, after all the preparation that I've done, like getting my degree and like, blah, 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 if I lose everything and tomorrow I have to get a job, if somebody tells me like, hey, go to McDonald's, I'll probably be a little bit, like just, I don't want to, like, I'm going to try to like get a better job, like I'm going to try to do my best. Like McDonald's not going to be my first choice. But if somebody tells me, or if I'm in the situation where my family needs to eat, where my don't have anything to eat and I need to get a job, you better know that I'm going to be applying to McDonald's, tomorrow, like that's today. Right. I need to. It's all about that, what drives you, right? So understanding that and understanding the different motivations that your team has, it's so important if you want to build a culture, if you want to make an impact in the community, because at the end, all that comes back to you as a business owner, and it's like that to your clients. It's all a cycle, and we have to understand. So paying $3 for, a VA somewhere else, they're going to do it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to continue to look for another opportunity that will provide their stability. So how can we do that, right? So like that's our goal with digital marketing, right? Like this is just a goal to a means, but we do it in different ways. Anytime that somebody comes in from day one, if you have kids, they get a scholarship so they can get to top schools here in Nicaragua, which that already is something that for us makes us feel so good. It makes it so worth it to know, the kids in our company are taken care of. And it makes the parents also so excited and more than excited, just certain that their kids are being taken care of, right? We're going a little bit extra there in this year, hopefully, in August, where that's what we're shooting, but we're starting an MBA for our managers to get a U.S. education, so our U.S. MBA. And I don't know, people, if you're in the U.S., you might take a little bit for granted, but in Nicaragua, to say that you have an MBA from a university in the state, that's unheard of, for a company to be able to provide that. So that's something that we're doing. And our goal is, in the next years, some of our kids are going to start, looking for schools for colleges. And so how can we, that's our goal right now. How can we provide top education, university in the US for our kids so they can go over in this scholarship? I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Nikki, but, when I went to the US, I went with a scholarship. Like I was actually given a scholarship by Walmart that's only given to Central American kids, and based on grades and all this stuff. But that scholarship changed my life. I would have not been able to pay that. My family would have not been able to afford that higher education. And I'm a firm believer that that's what opened so many doors for me, having, just wonderful time over there and just being able to learn from that and connect with amazing people. The fact that I was able to have that opportunity just changed my mindset of what was going to be able to accomplish. And hey, I have the opportunity to strive to this. So like, that's one of our goals. I want to give that back to Nicaragua, and to say that is just a personal goal to me, to be able to say somebody changed my life, and I can be also a tool to change somebody else's life.
That's absolutely astonishing and inspiring and amazing to me that from day one, your employees get scholarships for their kids to go to, these top schools, and that because you were given this scholarship, that you and JC now have put back in place this MBA education and these scholarships for the kids who are now ready to progress and go on to college. That is an unbelievable impact, not just in your community, not just in your company, not just in your country, but in the world. Like, I'm just so, I really don't even know how to express in words how inspired and how in awe I am of these big visions. And I know Tati, who at some point I'm going to have her on the podcast too, because she's amazing. And she is a part of Hite. But Tati and I were having conversations too about what she's accomplished in her life. And it's like absolutely amazing. So I just want to say, I don't know that I've met a lot of really inspiring women, but you two are just at the top of my list of like, wow, what you're doing in the world. Good work in the world.
I thank you so much. And I love Tati, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just need to get reunited again. I actually just saw her last week and she's coming to Nicaragua this month, actually. So she's coming like in a week. So I'm so excited for her here.
I'm excited for her too. I was supposed to talk to her today and then I missed my opportunity to chat with her, but yeah, just really incredible thing. So let's dive into the questions, because I think that hopefully a lot of my listeners, and I know for me personally, I'm very interested in this idea of how to really use your business to be a source of change in your community. And I think that you have done this so at such an incredible level that I'm just so curious to dig into your brain a little bit around this. So my first question is, if I was going to stand in for you for a day, so I get to be Karen for the day, what would I have to do or how would I really have to behave in order for me to show up from this place of using my business as a source of change in my community?
Interesting question. You told me the questions were going to be difficult. I can understand why you're that. I think anytime that if you were to take my place, and like, what would be like the behavior that you would have to take? I think gratitude is number one. I think anytime that I'm able to do something, I'm thankful that I have the opportunity today to do what I'm doing. And I'm thankful that I get, like a lot of the stuff that we're doing today, it's not easy. Having a business here in Nicaragua, it's not easy. Like this mission is not easy. Like I would rather, if you ask me, like, what were your like earthly, just you don't care about anything in terms of like infinite growth and all that. What I could be doing a lot more money probably with a lot less energy and a lot less, and a lot of less stuff. But that I would just be so bored and would be like, just depressed, after a while, because it wouldn't fulfill me. So I think just gratitude, because anytime that I get to experience this type of, challenges, I have to remind myself that I am in a position of I'm just blessed that I am so grateful to get to experience a lot of the challenges that I'm experiencing today, because that means that I'm doing something that I've never done in the past. And it's pushing me to do a lot of crazy stuff today that tomorrow I'm just going to go back and say, that's awesome. I did, and I can share this with somebody, the experience, whether I fail or I succeed, I get to experience and share this with somebody.
Well, that's a fantastic answer. So for you as the listener, a couple of things I took away from that is really approaching, your business from a place of gratitude, really approaching your life from a place of gratitude, approaching anything that you do, whether it's, it's a fail or a success, that you look at it as, this is an experience that I can share at some point with others. So I just love that so much. So my next question is, what are your goals when it comes to really using your business as a source of change in your community?
So some of my goals right now are, which I need to like focus more on these as soon as we're done with the Costa Rica trip. But some of my goals right now is to empower more women. I think that that's something that as I'm getting into these rooms, and I told you this in the past, that's one of the reasons why I was so happy to connect with you. It's just, I see that there's so much opportunity for us to be able to share more and to be in those conversations that our perspective is needed. And I understand that we're different in many ways than men, and just how we look at things for the most part. And, I try to be like, I just look at myself and my husband, right? So I try to be more just careful with how I spend my money and like what I do. And JC's normally like, yeah, let's do this, and we'll learn something from this. And so I'm more cautious. He's more visionary and more like he challenges himself. And I've learned that by me being in the same room and like learning from him and him learning from me, we're both able to make better decisions. And so that's one of my goals that I have, just to like open up the space for more women. And we talked about Tatiana actually and myself doing something there. That we would love to have you actually. So like be expecting more stuff together. And the other goal that I have, I think, is just continuing to focus on the things that we're focusing today, which is how can we give back to the community? How can we give back to our team? And for that to be always the main driver in our lives, because as we continue to grow, that is something that I really want it to be. And then also to just highlight families in anything that I do. Like for me, like my relationship with my husband and my kids, is so important. And I'm super grateful that I have this, because initially I didn't even want to have kids. So this is, to me, it's just an interesting perspective now, like how my brain has changed a little bit by this experiences. And I like to highlight, because I didn't think it was going to be possible for me to have a business and be a mom. And I think that's a concern that a lot of women have out there. So, it is possible. It's difficult, but it's possible. It's complex, not difficult, it's complex.
Well, and I will say that, again, getting to be at your mastermind, that you and JC brought the kids into, they got to be in certain parts, they got to be a part of and got to see, what you guys were doing. I know they got to be out when we were doing the getting in the ice, and they were in the room sometimes, on the breaks, and getting to be around the people that, get to really see like mommy and daddy doing their thing, which I love that you brought the family into that. So that was super fun and exciting. And okay, so when we think about goals, I love this idea that you keep your focus on this giving back. And I, of course, love the idea that you're looking for more ways to empower women, and to make sure that their perspective is being heard in rooms where men's voices are also being heard, and to really bring the family component into that as well. So that's awesome. So then my next question is, how do you know that you're achieving your goals? Like what looks like evidence for you?
Well, evidence for me right now in our business, as if we can, because like we measure it in terms of like how many people we are hiring. We have a goal of 1,000 people. It's kind of like an interesting way of measuring success, because it's not revenue. To me, it doesn't matter if I have like $1 million and 10 million, what am I going to do with that? Right. Mm-hmm. But if we can hire, 1,000 people, and if we can pay what we're paying, even today, if we can pay that, and we can continue to give the benefits that we're giving today, what does that impact look in 10 years to those families? If we can get to where we're doing scholarships for kids to go to the US, it goes back to that, I think, for me. And then in the day to day, like if you ask me today, obviously I cannot hire 1,000 people. But if I look at, did I have a successful day? That's one of the things that I've questioned myself in the past. Did I end up my day in an attitude or like in a position where I was grateful to have done what I was doing today? If that was my mindset by the end of the day, then I think that is success. Because it's kind of hard. It depends on where you're at, in your business. But if you can be happy doing what you're doing today, I think that is already a success.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a big goal, this $1,000 or $1,000, 1,000 jobs, like to employ 1,000 people. And then also when I look at where you guys are, like you're already 17% of the way to your goal. Like that's already a huge number, 170 employees. That's already like some pretty substantial evidence that you are on track to continue to do the things that you guys are doing and provide those jobs. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy goal for us. It doesn't sound like a lot sometimes, like if you see it like in the long run, but then you think about it, like, it depends on the day, sometimes I'm like, you go through stuff, but I it's definitely going to keep us motivated and, busy for a while. So we'll see when we reach that goal, what's next,
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you guys are doing or that you like personally are doing right now to continue to strive to reach that goal? Are there any actions that you're taking so that your business is continuing to be this source of change in your community?
Yeah. For us right now, it's just pushing ourselves to whatever boundaries that is. So the first thing that we did was, because this is not only Hite Digital, right? This is anything that we do. If we can provide a job through Master Hackers or through one of the events, this is it, right? Mm-hmm. So for us right now, where mindset has been is how can we push ourselves to do, the most we can at any point. And so how do we continue to build that resiliency, I guess, when you're dealing with the ice? So right now, what we're focused is TCS. So the Commitment Summit in Costa Rica is going to be a big deal for us because not only is going to help us, just provide the right environment for our communities to continue to grow and learn from each other. We have also amazing speakers there, which we're very grateful for. But also, how can this be of an impact to spread the word, of what we're doing as well, so we can continue to grow, we can continue to get, it's all a cycle, right? So we look at it in different ways, but definitely right now, what we're doing is pushing ourselves, and you're probably going to see a lot of Hite, in the future. Hopefully that's the goal. And we're doing it through events. We're doing it through just our franchises, and they're amazing at kicking butt, and just they have their own personal goals, which we love to understand and get to be part of as well. We're just both pushing, individually in many ways, but together in so many others. So
yeah. The Costa Rica event is really exciting. I think JC was messaging me about it, I think last week. He was like, "You're going to come, right?" And I'm like, "I don't think I'm going to come," but I'm so excited. And you do have quite the lineup of speakers. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but I know Damon John will be there from Shark Tank. Kevin Harrington will be there from Shark Tank. I can't remember the other speakers, but it's quite a lineup. I told JC I'll come if you put me on stage. And he's like, "We already have to kick some of our speakers off because we have so many."
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. That's the crazy part of doing events. So I'm really excited of doing this because I feel like I'm going to have a list of all the things you shouldn't do. So I'm going to do a masterclass on all the things you shouldn't do with putting an event like that, probably. But yeah, I know. I wish I could have everybody and but I know there's going to be another opportunity. So I would love to have you and anything else that we do, because that's going to be so much fun.
Well, I would love to do more with you guys too, because I'm such a fan. All right. So here is my last question before we move on to the little something extra is there ever a time where you feel like you need to just stop focusing on using your business to be a source of change in the community?
Anytime that I hit a new level of ice, anytime the ice gets colder and colder, that's when I ask myself this question, and I think that happens to anybody, anytime that you find yourself in a stressful moment and it's because of an activity that you're doing, you question, is that activity worth it? So yeah, I've questioned this, and I've questioned it with JC, it's, again, we could be doing a lot of other different things that would probably keep us a very much calmer lifestyle, not moving so much and from one day to the other, we're traveling so much and all that stuff with kids. But at the end of the day, what matters is it's that focus that you have in the long run. So if what you're dealing with right now is still worth after you think about, your end goal, then continue doing it. But if it's not, then you have to be also wise in understanding that you have so much energy and so much time. And if it's not, for example, if it would affect my family is one of my top priorities. So I would never, affect the health or the, just the well-being of my kids. If I would never do that. Right. So if something would affect that, I would have to tweak it or do something different. And that is just, as you're getting older and wiser, you realize there are things that are important in life that just your job is not, it's not it. And so that I think to us is very important. And that's why we try to balance family and what we're doing so much, because our mission is so important, but also, I want to be an example for my kids, for them to look at and say, wow, my mom really worked hard for us and for the mission that they had, my mom and dad. Right. So I think you always have to do that balance when you hit the ice. Yeah.
Thank you. And I love this concept of hit the ice. I hope the listener will take this away. Like when you're pushing, just be able to go like, I hit the ice. And if you haven't ever done the ice bath thing, I would encourage you to give it a try, because you might really surprise yourself. I know I did. I really surprised myself. Jose was like, the goal was to go 2 minutes. And he's like, Nikki, you're going to go 3. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. He said, I'm going to go 3. And then when I got out at 3, I was like, I did it. It was such a huge thing. But it is that, like, those times where you go like, is this worth it? Is this really, pushing me or striving me in the way that feels good and is still in alignment with who I want to be and how I want to show up for the people that are the most important in my life. So I love that you shared that. So thank you. All right. So now let's ask you a few little other questions. So here's one of my questions I love to ask women is, how do you celebrate your wins?
How do I celebrate my wins? Normally it's something related with food, because I love food. So normally it's like treating myself to like a nice dinner. It sounds so like, so like basic.
I love that.
But it's just like, I really do. Like that is after a week. Like, so like, this is what we do every Friday. We like have a date night. And so every Friday, like we have somebody that like takes care of the kids, and JC and I can spend some time together. And my thing there is like, I have to have a nice meal. And this is not even with JC. Like I could have the dinner by myself, but I choose to have it with him. But I have to have a nice meal that I just like, it just fills me up. And so it's little things like that, it doesn't have to be something crazy, but something that you find joy in. Yeah. It's that. And then also spending quality time by myself. It can be an hour, just like going out to like do a workout session with my friends. And I really love that. But yeah, I guess that balance, right, between like food and like, then I have to work out. But like food, 100%. If you have me to pick one, it's food.
I remember people were teasing you about one of the videos that you shot when you're like, hey, breakfast is ready. And you were like showing us all like what was on the breakfast, like the spread. And people were like, Karen, you can tell you love food just by the way you shot that video. And you're like, I love food. You're really embracing that. So I love that.
I do. Yeah. I don't know.
Here's another question for you is, what is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, something that I actually say this a lot, like something that my English friends would be surprised of, it's how much funnier I can be in Spanish. Like you have no idea. Like I'm super funny in Spanish. I always tell JC, you don't even know that side of me. Like you would get a brand new wife. It's just so like, I like to joke and just like, do that. And obviously my first language is Spanish. So like, I'm more comfortable there, but what else? Like something else, I'm an introvert actually. So like after the mastermind, I think you might have seen like, I'm pushing myself there to like be there and like just mingle with people and connect. First off, because I actually do love the people that are there, but then second off, just because like, that's just like part of the job, but also, like, it's just interesting understanding that about yourself and yeah, like I have to have like a little bit of a break after, like a mastermind, just because I need to like go and like be by myself a little bit or with my kids and, just like go back to my center, I guess. Yeah.
I'm an introvert too, so I can totally relate to that. So, and I love to know that you are because I do think you're funny and you're so interesting to be in a conversation with. So I love that you know that you're funnier in Spanish. I think that is probably one of the most charming things I've heard you say. I love that so much.
I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh. You should have seen like, so in one of our masterminds, quick funny thing. So one of our masterminds, like the first one, I think I had to make a presentation. I was so nervous to do it. And so, you know, I have to do like this little icebreaker. So in front of everybody, I was like, yeah, so I was talking about my family. This is me, Karen. And like last 4 years ago, I had my first kid. And then last year I had my other kid. And guess what, people? We're going to welcome our third child. And so JCC was like, what? Everybody was clapping. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And so like JC was like crying. And so like right there, it changed to another slide. And I was like, I'm just kidding. I had to do an icebreaker, didn't I? And so everybody's like, what? So like my humor is a little bit like JC was like, I did not know what to expect. He cried more after that. Just like, I think he was like either just like upset or I don't know. He was like, oh, no. I didn't know it. Yeah. He was just like, people were like, Karen, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, you have no idea. I'm like, I love to like play jokes and I don't even care. You know, it can be something like that. I know. Can you imagine? I need to send you that recording, JC's face.
What is JC's face?
I purposely had somebody record his face while he was crying. And I was just like, well, now we can have a presentation where everybody feels comfortable. Everybody laughed a little bit. Some people just were super weirded out, but now you're paying attention.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and your youngest, he's not that old. How old is your youngest?
He's 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, is he even 1? Like he's still a little guy. So that's so, I love that you did. And it's,
I know. I think that's why, if I remember correctly, that's why JC was crying. Cause I think he was not ready for that.
I'm sure he was probably like, what in the heck? I love that. I have this weird sense of humor where, you know, they show videos of people like falling down or getting scared. I think those are so funny. And my husband thinks that is like, we laugh a lot, but that's one of the things, like he just does not get that side of my humor. And I don't know why, but I just, it's almost like it tickles me and I can't help but laugh hysterically at it. And so
I have it's such a dark humor. I feel like people were like, oh my gosh, like, how can you do that to your husband? I'm like, that was funny. Like you should have seen his face. Like he was about to lose it. And I loved it.
Well, I don't know him that well, but what I do know of him is he seems like he really takes things in stride and he has such a nice, like go with the flow kind of personality. Yeah. At least that's been my impression of him. So I'm sure he got the joke. But okay, so here's something else I would love to know is what's something exciting going on in your business right now?
You know, I feel like there's several things. All related to, I think, some of the stuff that we covered. But I mean, TCS is, of course, very exciting because it's something completely new.
Mm-hmm. That's the conference in Costa Rica.
Correct. That's the conference in Costa Rica for digital agency owners. So like, that's going to be our first public event. And it's going to be with, you know, this top speaker. So it's kind of crazy that we're doing that in another country. So that's exciting. And then, you know, I feel like right now I'm really excited about just continuing to grow Hite. And just every time that we're in a new location. So like this quarter, I think we're opening like 3 more states that we don't have any locations in. And so that is exciting because I feel like we're getting to reach more people and for more people to like learn about what we're doing and to support more people as well. So yeah, I would say those 2 things are really exciting to me. And part of the event is just understanding the logistics of it, you know, just like how do you do marketing, the whole process. To me, I'm very process operationally oriented. And so I think it's interesting to see how these events work and how they, you know, how they connect people. I'm always very interested in this type of stuff.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay. And then for anybody listening who would like to connect with you, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
So best way to connect with me normally is Facebook. So you can go at me, Karen Hite. It's public. My husband is JC Hite. So you can go follow us there. Our agency is Hite Digital, but yeah, just go at me on Facebook. And I think something that we have done since our last mastermind on branding, I try to share a lot of what we're doing. So if you want to follow the ride, you can go and add me there. And that's normally where I post, or you can add us on Instagram. It's Karen Hite everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. And we'll put Karen's information in the show notes too. And definitely connect She's amazing. Her husband's amazing. They're doing really interesting, good work in the world. And I can't wait to see where you guys are even a year from now. I just think the sky's the limit. So amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I really am really grateful that you gave me this time. And thank you to you, the listener, for being here and sharing in this conversation with us. And I just wish you all a really amazing day. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.